How's it going, everybody? I'm the best that is, the best that was, and the best ever will be. There have been none before me, and there'll be none after me. Therefore, I am the one and only Jake Covey, and welcome to Wrestling Made Simple. We got an action-packed week this week with your news of the week, followed by your SmackDown and Raw reviews. Then we go into a review of Wrestlemania 7 from LA itself as we get ready, and we're on the road to Wrestlemania. We're going to look at the WrestleMania card as I see it and what has been basically confirmed through the media and through WWE themselves. We have your drink of the week, followed by a reading from the Book of Rules, and finally, your Battle Droid of the Week. Let's get into the news this week as we kick off with the story of Cameron. Apparently, Cameron was supposed to win the tag team titles with Naomi at WrestleMania 38. Now, this is a story that could have helped change wrestling as we know it, because they won the tag team titles and because they felt they weren't being represented enough, Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out of WWE. Now, you gotta wonder, if that they had not won the titles at WrestleMania, would Sasha Banks and Naomi still have walked out? Naomi would have still won the titles, but would she have been more happy that she won the titles with her friend Cameron instead of winning them with Sasha Banks, who still has an amazing history with Naomi, don't get me wrong, but wouldn't it have felt better for her that her friend was back in the company? Unfortunately, they did not end up doing these plans as they were talked about in an interview with Cameron, and she said, yeah, I came back at the Royal Rumble right after her father passed away. Condolences on that one. And she said that they were told they were going to win the tag team titles, and after her performance in the Rumble, company basically looked at her and said, yeah, nah, it ain't happening. So, but it makes you think, what would have happened? And now on to our next story, is John Laurinaitis looking for an AEW job? Apparently, he showed up at the AEW hotel where all the talent was staying, saw Jim Ross, talked to him, but apparently I don't know, they don't know what's going on, if he's looking for a talent relation job or something, I don't know, but neither does Jim Ross. No one's willing to comment at this time, so, we're just going to keep it on the back burner. It's nothing you can really talk about without knowing the full extent of the conversations that were had. I'm sure no one's very looking to truly bring him in yet after the scandal of the Vince McMahon money hush scandal, so, I'm sure that everybody's taking a wide berth of him, but hey, if they want to bring him in, they want to bring him in. I'm not going to stop people from trying to do their job, make money for their family, but apparently not many people like the guy, so. And finally, is Zack Ryder coming back to WWE? The talks have been rampant for a while, and WWE is just putting fuel to the fire as they have just trademarked his name with a couple other names, but the biggest one was Zack Ryder. So it kind of makes you think maybe he will come back to WWE. I don't know. It's really fun to speculate on, but if he doesn't want to come back, he isn't coming back. So, but that's the news this week, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to SmackDown. As SmackDown kicked off with Jimmy Uso arriving in the arena and requesting that Jay talk to him in the ring later on. We then get Intercontinental Champion Gunther, Giovanni Vinci, and Ludwig Kaiser versus Ricochet, Madcap Moss, and Braun Strowman again. I just love that in-ring announcer. She is so cool, has the perfect voice for in-ring announcing. The way she makes people really invest in names is just awesome to me. So, this was a 6-man tag team match of Imperium versus Ricochet, Madcap Moss, and Braun Strowman. Very fun match. Very good match. Very good 6-man tag. I'm really not a fan of 6-man tags, but hey, it worked here, so really enjoyed it. Imperium was able to pick up the win, but it was what happened after that everybody's talking about as Drew McIntyre stood on top of the ramp looking at Gunther. Could Drew McIntyre be going after the title that got him basically started in WWE? That would be a fun one to look at for Mania, wouldn't it? We then get the Viking Raiders coming out and attacking Drew McIntyre, but Sheamus, Strowman, and Ricochet helped fight them off. I guess the feud's kind of continuing with the Viking Raiders. I don't know. There's a lot to digest in that segment. You have Madcap Moss take a pin and kind of turning heel with Emma. You have Ricochet and Braun Strowman actually working very well as a team. And then you have Sheamus and Drew kind of eyeing the IC title, but at the same time continuing with feud with the Viking Raiders. So you have Imperium, you have Viking Raiders, you have the Banger Brothers, you have all these matches going on, all these feuds, and yet you don't know what the fuck all of this means. I will give it to Triple H. He keeps you on your toes. We then get Santos Escobar telling Rey Mysterio that he respects him and actually kind of turning face in the process. The first time he's turned face since really the Cruiserweight Championship tournament, where he won the Cruiserweight title and formed Legado de Fantasma. So, awesome to see him. But Dominic and Rhea Ripley would interrupt. Dominic tells Santos to stop sucking up to Rey Mysterio and that he isn't the hero he thinks he is. And that then we get Santos saying, Dom, you need to show your dad some respect or I will teach you to respect him. That could be a great match in my opinion. I've seen Santos Escobar's talent outside of WWE. And funny enough, when he was performing outside of WWE, who was performing with him? Rey Mysterio. While also training Dominic Mysterio. So, it's kind of a helpful trainer versus student kind of mentality there. Which is awesome to see. We then get Kofi Kingston versus LA Knight in a nice match, but Kofi Kingston was able to pick up the win. Now, here's my trouble with this. They're really kind of burying LA Knight there. So, it makes you wonder, is this going to be a feud to hang on to till Mania? Is that going to be LA Knight's match at Mania of him maybe with a partner fighting the New Day? Maybe Karrion Kross. I don't know. Maybe from their NXT days. We then get Charlotte Flair coming out to face her WrestleMania opponent, but Dominic came out, talked about how he could see Charlotte eyeing him up, but he has a beautiful girl already in Rhea Ripley. We then get Charlotte saying she has a real Latino man at home, so shout out to Andrade. And as Charlotte Flair was about to attack Dominic, Rhea came out, and they both just stare each other down as Dominic and Rhea left. But I'm excited for this feud. I really am. I really am excited for that feud for WrestleMania. They need to really focus on just the history these two have. Not trying to make something new. Just focus on the history of these two. After this, we get Shayna Baszler versus Natalya in a very quick match. Shayna Baszler was able to lock in the Coquilla clutch on Natalya, but it was after the match of Natalya's friend Tegan Nox attacking Ronda Rousey, and Ronda Rousey yelling, "Next Friday, Skittles, I get you, and you're gonna taste the rainbow, bitch." I thought that was very funny. I thought that was actually ingenious. So very good on them for that. For Ronda Rousey for that one. I mean, credits due. I'll give her credit. I think this pairing is really working with Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. We then get one of the weirdest things I've ever seen of Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse. It turned to the Firefly News. Uncle Howdy doing the weather. Wyatt questions and if he tells a story, can we keep a secret? It was just too much. They were trying to do too much with this. And they actually had some returning superstars in this that I was shocked by. People have pointed out it's Eric Young's voice doing the Can You Keep a Secret thing on the Firefly Funhouse channel schedule. So I thought that was awesome. You had Little Miss Bliss apparently playing with toys in the Firefly Funhouse, but you only see her hands and some tattoo on her wrist, which I believe it was her wrist, maybe her forearm, which Alexa Bliss has. So people were able to spot that and go, that's Bliss. and then a woman's voice screaming. We don't know who that voice is, so apparently they're bringing in another woman as well. I don't know what's going on with the Firefly Funhouse. I mean, there are some interesting points to this, but at the same time, it was just so stupid. There were so many, like, the weather thing was terrible. Him laughing at Bobby Lashley was awful. But there's still so many things that were cool in this segment and not cool. I'm not sold on the return of Bray Wyatt yet. I'm happy he's back. He's an amazing talent and an unbelievable storyteller. But at the same time, I'm looking at going, I want more from this. I want The Fiend. I want Bray Wyatt. I want the Eater of Worlds. I want the Bray Wyatt of old. The one who could take you on a story, but when it was time to lace up those boots, he would come out to the ring and destroy you. He would come out to the ring and be Bray Wyatt. And I don't think we've got that yet. I mean, there are times when you're like, there's the Bray Wyatt of old. That's what I mean. Like, I will say that the LA Knight fight was okay. It was fun to watch. It was definitely different. But it didn't feel like Bray Wyatt. When he attacked Hit Row, I was sitting there going, that's Bray Wyatt. That is Eater of Worlds, Fiend moment when he grabbed the mic and said, you're welcome, Montreal. By the way, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, whoever wins, run, because I'm coming after you. That was Bray Wyatt. Even when he did the old Firefly Funhouse, the Firefly Funhouse coming back, that was cool. That was Bray Wyatt. This, I don't know, man. I don't know. We then get Karrion Kross versus Dominic Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio. Nice match. Apparently this could be hopefully the end of this feud. Karrion Kross was able to pick up the win after Dominic Mysterio got involved. He would basically cost Rey with the 619, standing over him saying, hit me, hit me. Rey refuses to hit him. At this point, dude, just punch him in the face. Come on, man. You just gotta give him a good licking. You know? Apparently they're saving it for WrestleMania. It's good. They're kind of building this, and it's funny because it was a brother storyline, but they're kind of building this as Kane versus The Undertaker for WrestleMania 14. That's the way I'm looking at this. Just my opinion. We then get Jimmy Uso trying to call Jey Uso, but Jey didn't come to the ring. Instead, Sammy came to the ring, and Sammy said that Jey accepted him before anyone else in the bloodline even made him the honorary Uso, and it broke his heart when he got attacked at the Royal Rumble. And he said, every time that I use the word brother, it breaks my heart, man, because that's what you were to me. And you were the one that made me the honorary Uso. Jimmy said that Sammy made his choice when he destroyed Roman with the steel chair. Sammy tried to convince Jimmy that he doesn't have to go down the road with Roman. And then Jey shows up. Jey showed up and distracted Jimmy enough to where he could hit him with a super kick. Or not a super kick, a haluva kick. And he kind of rolled out of the ring, looks at Jey, and then just runs out into the crowd as Solo comes out to defend his brothers. SmackDown goes to black and leaves you wondering what the fuck's going on SmackDown. By the way, I want to point out that this weekend, apparently Solo Sikoa got married. So shout out to him. Congratulations on getting married. And shout out to your new wife as well. That's awesome. It was definitely, I will say that SmackDown was way better than Raw this week. We then get Raw. Raw kicked off with the Bloodline in your city. He talked about how Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn tried to beat down the Bloodline but failed. And they said that Cody Rhodes doesn't stand a chance either. The Street Profits then came out, challenged him to a match. So we get Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso versus the Street Profits. It was a good match. Definitely goes to show Dawkins' athleticism. Fortunately, though, the Bloodline would pick up the win to continue their momentum into WrestleMania. So the Bloodline ain't going to lose many matches going into WrestleMania season. Just want to say that right now. We then get the MVP Lounge as Brock Lesnar came out first. And MVP said I was planning to come out, but then I see a beast incarnate in my ring. So, by the way, I want to point out that Brock Lesnar and MVP couldn't talk either in this segment. MVP kept calling him the beast incarnate, and Brock Lesnar kept calling Omos. It was funny. I don't know if they were just trying to get a couple laughs. Apparently, they said it's official. Brock Lesnar will face Omos at WrestleMania 39. And MVP said he was about to pop a bottle, but Brock Lesnar pulled out a flask of moonshine. When everyone's posting online, what was in the flask? What was in the flask? He called it White Lightning, which is moonshine. So, if anyone's listening from Bleacher Report, from WrestleFeed, everything, White Lightning is moonshine. That's what White Lightning is. So, take it, country boy, saying that. Just saying. Lesnar gave MVP some White Lightning, and apparently that didn't go well. MVP's taste buds did not like it, so he spit out Brock Lesnar's face. Let's do an F5! F5 his ass through the ring. I'm guessing they're going to use that to build for Omos. We then get Becky Lynch and Lita talking to Kathy Kelly about tonight's title match, and they plan on becoming women's tag team champions. Nothing really big for this from that promo. I wish we got a little more. We then get Cody Rhodes versus Chad Gable, and probably the match of the night. I know it should be the women's tag team match, but this was definitely the match of the night here. They had such great chemistry, Cody Rhodes and Chad Gable did, and worked out so well. Apparently, and I've learned this now, this is who Cody Rhodes really wanted to bring to AEW before he signed an extension. He really wanted to bring in Chad Gable. Cody Rhodes was able to win the match, and Cody Rhodes said 33 days away from WrestleMania 39. He still has yet to come face-to-face with Roman. However, he might come face-to-face with Roman at SmackDown this Friday. So, apparently Royal Rumble winner Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns comes face-to-face Friday night on SmackDown. We then get Dominic Mysterio talking about how Rhea Ripley has a match with Shayna Baszler, I believe it was. And he will be on SmackDown this Friday, so maybe he'll go say hi to his dad again. We then get Maxine Dupree approaching Otis, saying she wants to see him in a match tonight to see how he performs and how he will look in a match. So, I don't know. Apparently, this is how they're going to get Otis away from Chad Gable, and they want to build Chad Gable as a singles star, so maybe this is it. We then get Asuka versus Carmella in a very quick match. Asuka was able to lock in the Asuka lock. I like they're calling her like the buzzsaw and a raptor of WWE. I will admit, Corey Graves had some great lines. He goes, Kevin Patrick starts talking during Carmella's entrance and Corey Graves goes, KP, shut up! This is my wife's entrance! My wife is entering the building and she's gonna go face to face with the buzzsaw of WWE. I'm usually supportive in her decisions, but this is bad! I laughed my ass off at that, Corey Graves. That was hilarious. We then get Candice. Asuka would win, locking the Asuka lock. We then get Candice LeRae versus Piper Niven. Candice LeRae would be able to win, but due to a kind of a weird assist from Nikki Cross on the outside. So that was it's a very weird combination for this. Why have Nikki Cross come in and help when you have Indy Hartwell? Indy Hartwell could always come up from NXT. They've been talking about a main roster call-up for months and months and months. You have Dexter Lumis. It's the perfect combination. Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis need to come back together on the main roster. That was some of the best work for him in the way. I thought they were... Unfortunately, Dexter Lumis was released, so it was split way too soon. This could have been way better for them if they bring Indy Hartwell instead of trying to fit Nikki Cross into a round hole. Just my opinion. We then get Johnny Gargano revealing that he will face Otis later on tonight, and Finn Balor says if Otis doesn't finish him off tonight, he will. So next week we get Johnny Gargano versus Finn Balor. Ooh, a little NXT rivalry coming to the main roster. I like it! We then get a special episode of Miz TV, and where Miz revealed that the card that Maurice handed him, and it said that Miz is the official host of WrestleMania 39. I will admit, different. Very different. We didn't have a host for WrestleMania 38. Before that, the hosts were Alexa Bliss at 35, the New Day at WrestleMania 33, no one for WrestleMania 34. Alexa, stop! Excuse me? Anyway. I completely forgot. So anyway, WrestleMania 33, The New Day. WrestleMania 34, no one. WrestleMania 35, Little Miss Bliss. Learned my lesson. WrestleMania 36, Gronk. WrestleMania 37, Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan. WrestleMania 38, again, no one. And WrestleMania 39 will now be The Miz. So The Miz will host WrestleMania. Seth Rollins then came out and says he knows Miz has Logan Paul's number and wants The Miz to call him. Miz refused and said he's already going to WrestleMania and Seth Rollins needs to find his own way to the shows. Seth Rollins then super kicks The Miz, hits a stomp on him, and calls Logan Paul himself. He then asks Logan Paul to show up next week on Raw. Logan Paul says, yeah, I'll be there. And Seth Rollins cut the call short by saying, bye-bye, bitch. Hangs up the phone, stomps out Miz again, and then leaves. Everybody's singing his song. So it's clear that they need to push Seth Rollins as the face in this, and Logan Paul as the heel. I could easily see him going the other way because they want Logan Paul to be cheered. You need to push him as a heel. Push him as the heel right now. We did get United States Champion Austin Theory talking about how John Cena's return is disrespectful to him, and he will teach John Cena about his own version of hustle, loyalty, and respect. We then get Bobby Lashley versus Elias in a very, very fast match. Basically, spear, heart lock, 1, 2, 3, over. He then told Bray Wyatt, keep my name out of your mouth. Excuse me. And as Lashley was leaving, video of Bray Wyatt doing the Muscle Man dance shows up on a Titantron. This was funny, I will admit that. That was very, very funny. And you then get, at the end of the video, Wyatt telling Lashley to run. So that's the old Bray Wyatt. I like that, but at the same time, I want more. We then get a backstage segment with Chelsea Green talking to Adam Pearce about where she was sent last week. Carmella showed up. Pearce granted Carmella a match against Bianca Belair. And then apparently Chelsea and Carmella became friends. So maybe a new tag team. That's what they're talking about. Carmella and Chelsea Green is a tag team. I wouldn't mind that. We then get Johnny Gargano versus Otis. Fun match. Johnny Gargano was able to pick up the win with the final beat on the outside. Dexter Lumis would show up and attack Maximum Male Models at ringside, so Otis doesn't get the attention he wanted from them. Johnny Gargano picks up the win, and then we move on to our main event. Lita and Becky Lynch versus Dakota Kai and Io Sky for the women's tag team titles. Fun match. It was good for what it was. Io Sky hitting amazing moonsaults. Lita hitting her moonsault. But it's what happened outside the match. Trish Stratus would return and stop Bayley from interfering. Apparently the talk is this is going to be a match at Mania. Trish Stratus versus Bayley. Ooh, that would be fun. And Becky Lynch and Lita pick up the win. So Becky Lynch and Lita are officially women's tag team champions. It was what happened after a match as well. Seth Rollins wanted to come out and celebrate with his wife because he was the dark main event with Austin Theory. But that was just fun. Watch that video. It's hilarious. It's just fun to see. But apparently that is what's going to be the match at Mania. That's what they're talking about. So let's see what the Mania card looks like right now. Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. That's been confirmed by WWE. Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte. Been confirmed. Bianca Belair versus Asuka. That has been confirmed. The Usos versus Sami Zayn and KO has not been confirmed yet, but will be probably soon. Gunther versus Drew versus Sheamus. Not been confirmed by WWE, but it will probably be Gunther versus Drew, maybe Gunther versus Drew versus Sheamus. Austin Theory versus John Cena. Not been confirmed by WWE, all but confirmed online. Finn Balor versus Edge. Basically confirmed, not by WWE, but by almost everyone else. Hopefully it's a Hell in a Cell. Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio. Not confirmed by WWE, confirmed basically everywhere else. Now I do want to point out, everyone was saying when WWE filed a trademark on a new match type, which was a jailhouse brawl, or a jail yard brawl, they thought that this was going to be the match for Rey Mysterio and Dominic, but apparently they're not. It's being used on NXT Roadblock next Tuesday. So apparently that match type was not meant for them. So that's a little funny one. So, Bray Wyatt versus Bobby Lashley, all but confirmed. Brock Lesnar versus Omos, confirmed. Bayley and Lita versus Ronda and Shayna. I don't know if that one's happening. Talked about it a bit in the media, but not yet confirmed. Trish Stratus versus Bayley, kind of my own hope. Karrion Kross versus LA Knight is the match that I would also put on there. That would give us 14 or... Yeah, 1, 2, 3... 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, 14 matches split into 2 cards, so 7 matches per night. You might be able to do 8 one night and 6 the other night. I don't know. I could easily see them having Karrion Kross and LA Knight team up against the New Day. And hey, maybe split those matches and you have one night Karrion Kross takes on Xavier Woods and LA Knight takes on Kofi Kingston. There you go. But that's the WrestleMania card so far as I see it. Let's go on to WrestleMania 7. From the Los Angeles Memorial Sports Arena, an attendance of 16,000. Tagline, Superstars and Stripes Forever. The big feud being this built around was the Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter match. This was also, I want to point out, Undertaker's debut at WrestleMania and the beginning of the streak. So, I just like to point that out. First dark match was Coco Beware versus the Brooklyn Brawler in a singles match. Nice little match, apparently. That's what I've heard. Coco Beware would win the match. We then get a great tag team match of the Rockers versus the Barbarian and Haku of the Heenan family. Rockers would pick up the win. Great match. Rockers picking up the win, really showing that they are one of the best tag teams ever. We then get a Texas Tornado versus Dino Bravo with Jimmy Hart as his manager. Quick little singles match. Nothing really to write home about. The Texas Tornado would pick up the win. We then get the British Bulldog versus the Warlord. The Warlord would have basically what the Hurt Lock is today, the full Nelson, and no one had yet to get out of it. So they basically assumed the British Bulldog wouldn't be able to. So the British Bulldog would break the full Nelson, be the first person to do it, and would pick up the win. You would then have the Nasty Boys versus the Hart Foundation of Bret and Jim Neidhart for the WWF Tag Team titles. The Nasty Boys would pick up the win, making Jimmy Hart basically 1-1 so far at WrestleMania in at WrestleMania 7. Nasty Boys would have a great run with the titles, and the reason they put the titles on them was because they saw a burgeoning star in Bret Hart, and they would split them so Bret Hart could next year go on to feud with Jake the Snake Roberts at WrestleMania for the IC title, and then be pushed into the main event. You would then get Jake the Snake Roberts versus Rick Martel in a blindfold match. This match always makes me laugh. Because of this match, it was pitched as a blindfold match. For those of you who don't know, a blindfold match is very simple. You put a sheet over your head, and apparently you are not able to see out of this. This was broken the first second they did it. You would have Jake the Snake put his hand in the mask like he was scratching his eye, but basically revealed you could see his hand in the match, and you could see eye holes. So the whole everything went to shit right after that, because they showed down the Jumbotron, basically, of Jake the Snake Roberts putting his mask on and seeing him scratch his eye, showing he could see. So it was still a fun match, and actually the crowd would get into it of Jake the Snake Roberts pointing. It was kind of a game of hot and cold, like cold, cold, and then when he hit Martel, you would just hear everyone start screaming and cheering for Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake the Snake Roberts would pick up the win and would destroy... Now, the reason they were having this match, I feel like I gotta say this, the reason they were having this match was because Rick Martel had blinded Jake the Snake Roberts with his spray can of pesticides, and Jake the Snake Roberts wanted Rick Martel to feel how he could feel. Jake the Snake Roberts had gotten his sight back, but he was still kind of blind. So he was blind in one eye, but he was still able to see out of his other eye. So that's why they had this match. You would then get The Undertaker versus Jimmy Snuka in the first match of the streak. Now, two things. It just goes to show the faith they had in The Undertaker to put him against one of their most recognizable stars, one of the best in the business in Jimmy Snuka at the time. And this would start the streak of 21-0, which wouldn't be broken until WrestleMania 30. So that's awesome for one. Two, you would also have Undertaker gain the name The Phenom, because Jimmy Snuka was The Phenom before The Undertaker, and basically when The Undertaker beat Jimmy Snuka, he would get that name, The Phenom. So The Undertaker became The Phenom because of this match. Woo! After this, you would get The Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage in one of the matches of the night. This match worked because of Randy Savage was one of the... I say Rick Savage. I'm sorry, I've been watching his show for a little. You would have Randy Savage was such a man of thought and of wrestling. He would script every match out. And they actually talked about that in the biography of Macho Man, of how he did it with Steamboat. They basically had 140 things that they would go over, and they would actually test each other. You would have Steamboat say, okay, Randy, number 36 is me punching you and you falling to the ground. Tell me the rest of the 140 moves. And they would go in, and they even said 139, and then the Schoolboy, 140. Perfect. So it really worked out for Ultimate Warrior having Macho Man in this, because Macho Man really was helping the Ultimate Warrior. He would work with people like Hulk Hogan and Macho Man, who really planned out their matches, and you could see the greatness the Ultimate Warrior had when he worked with someone like them. But then you would see him work with people like, and I'm not putting these guys down at all, because these are still some of the best to ever do it. Of people like Goldust and Triple H, they wouldn't plan it out completely with the Ultimate Warrior, and you would have the Ultimate Warrior kind of just come up with his own plan and fuck everything up. And again, I'm not trying to put down the Ultimate Warrior, but that's just the way he worked. Woo! After this, we get... Oh, God, I can never say this. Here we go. Tenryu and Kitoa, God damn it, versus Demolition with Mr. Fuji at ringside in a tag team match. Nothing to write home about here. For those of you who don't know Demolition, they were really a... Of course, most people do know Demolition, but they were a ripoff of the Legion of Doom, who were a amazing tag team, the Road Warriors. They were an amazing tag team, and that was basically it. That was Demolition was a way for us to steal, for WWF to steal their gimmick, basically. Nothing to write home about. Demolition loses this match, and that's all I'm going to talk about because I don't do the names justice. We then get Big Boss Man versus Mr. Perfect in a singles match for the IC title. Great match. Unfortunately, when it ended in disqualification, kind of moving this match down from the way a lot of people see it. It should have been way better. We then get we then get Earthquake versus Greg Valentine in a singles match as well. Let's see, is this the shortest match on the card? Nope, just under 3 seconds. It just beats the other one. So we get Earthquake with Jimmy Hart versus Greg Valentine. Great match. These two, even though it was a short match, actually really clicked. And Earthquake was able to pick up the win over Greg Valentine. Oh, now here's the shortest match of the night. Oh, what a rush. Hawk and Animal, Legion of Doom would come out versus Power and Glory of Paul Roma and Hercules with Slick as their manager. I want to point out also, Slick would manage... Let me make sure I got this. Who would Slick manage? Yeah, Slick managed the Warlord as well. So he would actually be 0-2 at this WrestleMania as the Legion of Doom would come out and beat Power and Glory very quickly. We then get Virgil versus his former mentor and basically guy he managed for so long, Ted DiBiase, with Roddy Piper in Virgil's corner as this would actually... So one, Virgil would win this by countout in a 7-minute match. It was okay. It was nothing to write home about. And I'm also going to give credit to Brian Zane of Wrestling with Regret for this, because I heard the story from him on his channel. He talked about when Roddy Piper went to WCW, there was a line he used when confronting the NWO, which Virgil was a part of, as he said, he looks at Virgil and goes, "I taught you how to fight, so get out of my face." So they would use this match as part of building Roddy Piper versus Hollywood Hogan in WCW. So this match actually influences the NWO. So I just like that. Brian Zane had a great line. He goes, "A great job you did, Piper, considering he only won his matches by count out." We then get the Mountain versus Tio Santana with Jimmy Hart at ringside. This put Jimmy Hart in the black, or the Mountie, the Mountie versus Tio Santana, which is very funny. I mean, Tio Santana deserves so much better than this. In a 1-minute match, oh god. Tio Santana would lose, the Mountie would pick up the win, and Jimmy Hart would go into the black as 2-1 at WrestleMania 7. A lot of managers would be getting would be getting a lot of work. There would be a lot of managers at WrestleMania 7. And then we move on to the main event, Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter. Now, Sergeant Slaughter would talk about this in actually Most Wanted Treasures, the episode where it was Sergeant Slaughter and the Iron Sheik. So, Sergeant Slaughter had just come back from doing G.I. Joe, and Hulk Hogan was this big star. Everybody loved him. And when Vince McMahon said, "Hey, I want to have you main event WrestleMania with Hulk Hogan for the WWF Championship," Sergeant Slaughter said, "How are we going to make Hulk the villain?" And Vince said, "Hulk? The villain?" And just laughed. Sergeant Slaughter then put it together, "Oh God, I'm going to be the villain. I'm going to be the heel." they would turn him heel. Sergeant Slaughter would turn heel. Mr. America, Mr. G.I. Joe, the first ever living G.I. Joe, would become heel because he would basically see what we were doing in Iran and how Saddam Hussein had taken over and basically decide that America was no longer the power it was and he was going to hop on the winning horse. There are two things I want to really talk about in this. One, how Sergeant Slaughter won the WWF title, which led to the retirement match. The retirement match between the Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage was decided when it was the Ultimate Warrior was defending his title that he won at WrestleMania 6 from Hulk Hogan at the Royal Rumble. Randy Savage would then come out and cost the Ultimate Warrior the match after hitting the Ultimate Warrior with the scepter, starting their feud for the retirement match at WrestleMania 8. And Sergeant Slaughter would win the title and would go on to face Hulk Hogan. Now, this act was so controversial. There are two things that they go into for WrestleMania 7 of. One, they didn't sell enough tickets. They were going to originally do this in the LA Coliseum, and where USC plays. So, they were originally going to do it there, but it was just, one, they apparently didn't sell enough tickets. That's a story that's always made the rounds. The other story that's always made the rounds was, and I think this actually got started through Sergeant Slaughter's story, and it just got misconstrued all these years, was there was a bomb threat, and they felt that the stadium wasn't safe. I don't know if that's true, but I do know apparently this story's true, of Sergeant Slaughter got a call from his wife, and he said that his wife had called him, and basically said that someone said they were going to blow up their house. So Sergeant Slaughter played this gimmick so well that people actually thought he had defected. Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter have not the match of the night, but a very good match. If I had to award the match of the night, it would definitely be Randy Savage versus Ultimate Warrior. But this was a very good match of Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter. America would pick up the win, and the Iranians would be defeated by America. America forever. And so it's just fun to watch this match and be like, wow, this really had real world implications to the families of the people who are playing these characters. I would actually go on to meet Sergeant Slaughter at WrestleMania 37. I didn't ask him about this match, but I do have to say, he was nothing but respectful and a nice man. So, it's just cool I just want to point out that it's just awesome when you meet people like that, and they're just all around just some of the best guys you can meet. Just a great guy. So, I want to give a shout out to Sergeant Slaughter. If he somehow is listening, I don't know. But I want to give a shout out to him. They actually thought I was a wrestler because I am 6'3", and I'll just say very weight heavy. They thought I was a wrestler, so I thought that was funny. But just all around, solve the earth, great guy. So shout out to Sergeant Slaughter. This is a very cool WrestleMania to look at. It is, in my opinion, a great WrestleMania because it has the ups and downs every WrestleMania is going to have. If you look at every WrestleMania, expect it to be WrestleMania 17, you are going to be disappointed. No WrestleMania is going to be the perfect show. Not every WrestleMania can be. So, I look at this one as a very good example of what WrestleMania is. It has some great matches, and it has some shitty matches. That's what WrestleMania is. So, people getting pissed about Brock Lesnar versus Omos at WrestleMania 39, I'm down. We've had worse. Trust me. Let's see. Let's look at some WrestleManias of the past and just see which one I think. We had WrestleMania 34. We had WrestleMania. Yeah, people don't view no, people have changed their opinion on WrestleMania 19, so I'll give them credit's due. WrestleMania 13, which basically had one match. WrestleMania 9. WrestleMania 2. So, yeah, let's calm down. I need a drink. Let's go to the WWE Drink of the Week. And because I'm focusing on classic cocktails for WrestleMania, the granddaddy of them all, this is a Tom Collins. Basically a gin sour. So what you're going to do is, you're going to take gin, you're going to take 1.5 ounce of gin, 1 ounce of lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. You're going to shake and you're going to pour this all into a Collins glass, stir it, add some soda water, and top with a lemon slice. Please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. And do not overconsume on alcohol. Do not drink if you are under 21 in the United States. And that is your WWE Drink of the Week. And now a reading from the Book of Rules. Battle Royal. A set number of superstars, often 10 or 20, all begin the match at the same time. Eliminations count when a superstar is thrown over the top rope and both feet hit the ground. No disqualifications. Superstars may exit through or under the ropes, and return whenever they want to throughout the match, but not over the top. A reading from the Book of Rules. And now, everybody, it is time for the Battle Droid of the Week! This Battle Droid of the Week is very easy for me, and I wish I didn't have to give it to him, because he is one of my favorites. As a manager, as a wrestler, I always feel like this guy is on, and he is very fun to watch, but unfortunately, MVP, you are the Battle Droid of the Week for this terrible segment with Brock Lesnar. I want to give it to Brock Lesnar and MVP, actually. I would love to say that it's just one guy's fault, but, two guys are in the ring. That's what's going to happen. If the other person isn't playing well off of you, you're going to suck. There are times when it's just a one person, where it's just like you're looking at them going, wow, they fucked it up, but they did great. But you know what? This segment just really fell on deaf ears. So, MVP, Brock Lesnar, congratulations. Here's another award to add to your trophy case.
Uh-oh.
And I want to stay out by saying I've enjoyed these runs by Brock Lesnar and MVP back in the companies. Just want to say that. But thank you very much for listening. I've been the big guy. This has been WrestleMania Made Simple. We are going into WrestleMania season, so Wrestling Made Simple will cover WrestleMania 12 next week in the pond in Anaheim. I'm sorry. For some reason, my mind went to a blank. So yes, we will be covering WrestleMania 12. Coming from the pond in Anaheim, which is considered one of the greatest main events of all time, of Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart in a 60-minute Iron Man match. So look forward to that one. I'll see you guys again on Wrestling Made Simple next week. I've been the big guy. Thank you for listening.